Hi guys, welcome to Electricity Market in India. This today's presentation was requested by a lot of viewers who wanted to have a knowledge on power trading in India. What is exactly the role of a power trader? Um, uh, how to become a power trader in India? What amount of revenue you can generate if you open a power trading company in India? Which are the biggest power trader in India? So all these questions were asked in my previous presentations, and I thought that it's best I come out with a video on this. This was long requested, and there was a big lapse of time from my side where I could not make videos because of my work commitments. But today I am present with this presentation in front of all of you. Those who are new to this channel, do subscribe this channel, hit the like button if you like this video, and share it with your friends and colleagues in the industry who wants to have a career in Indian power sector and who wants to have more deeper knowledge into what exactly this sector offers to individuals. So let's start today's presentation, not wasting any more time on what exactly is power trading in India and how it needs to be done. So this is the disclaimer page before we start today's presentation. So try to cover this presentation into basically four parts. First is why we will see power trading is needed in India. Second, we will see what is the role of power trading in terms of Indian power sector, where it fits in and what kind of benefits it's adding to this segment. Third, we will see and we'll try to answer the most sought after question, how to become a power trader in India, what is its regulatory requirements and challenges. And finally, we'll see the list of power trading companies operating in India. So those who have seen my previous presentations on power management or this wire and supply segregation, there I had explained about the timelines in which Indian power sector has evolved. So I would again want to repeat this because this is relevant to today's presentation. So Electricity Act basically came in the year 2003, which actually enabled the power markets reforms in India. And one of the major reform which was there in Electricity Act was introducing power trading in India. Uh, you must be also knowing, those who have seen the open access presentation and IEX presentation, that basically open access actually allowed discoms, industries, and anyone to purchase power from any source in India and to produce power in any part of India. So basically power trading was also introduced in the same act in the year 2003, and many power trading companies such as PTC, Tata Power Trading, Manikaran, NVVN, they took the power trading license in that year itself. So basically, after that, there were a lot of reforms which happened in power markets, which is like your competitive bidding was introduced through Section 63, which allowed more transparency, more liquidity in the market. In the year 2008, Power Exchange was introduced, and Indian Energy Exchange and Power Exchange of India Limited (PXIL) was opened. So that also opened one avenue for the distribution companies and the industries to purchase and sell power in that platform. Now, one of the major enablers of all this enablers which happened in the timeline, be it power exchange or your competitive procurement of power through bilateral transaction, all was enabled because of the power trading companies. They were the one who introduced these products in the Indian market and who helped the distribution companies as well as the industries to exercise their option in purchasing and utilizing these products. Finally, in the year 2020, a couple of years back, through the power market regulation, the new regulation on power trading came up, which we will discuss in this presentation, where it actually defines what is the power trading margin you can take and what is the eligibility to become power trader in India, what kind of net worth you need to have. So all these things was introduced in Power Market Regulations 2020, which we will see in this presentation in details. So this is again a slide which I had explained many times, but again would like to showcase why from a power trading angle this is important. Now we all know that we have seen in previous presentation that the whole power sector of India can be divided into basically three parts: generation, transmission, and distribution. So generation companies are those which generates power, be it thermal, hydro, nuclear, wind, solar, anything. Transmission companies basically transmit the power from the power plants to to our homes, industries, residents, railways, and all. And distribution companies' main role is basically to purchase these power from these power plants and distribute it to their end customers, which could be residential, industrial, commercial, agriculture, railways, anything. Finally, they do the billing and then they do the recovery of the payments. Now, overall, this structure looks fine from the context that everything is moving fine with this sense. Everything is dispatched, the load is scheduled, dispatched on a real-time manner and all. But there are a lot of inefficiencies if you see the entire life cycle. For example, if you take the procurement of power, the procurement of power is one example where it could be costlier than what it could have been if there was an intermediary who could manage the purchase side. Also on the sales side, if there is an entity which can ensure payment from the discoms, then the life of these generating companies would have been a lot more easier than to directly interact with the discoms for their payments. We see a lot of delays happening in Indian power market. So all this thing made a requirement of introducing an intermediary in between who can manage the power purchase side, power sales side, manage the scheduling of power on a real-time basis, manage the reconciliation of the bills, and finally the payments to the generating companies and receiving it from the discoms. So that actually enabled the introduction of power trader in India, which helped in easing this entire life cycle of the power sector. How it does and what are the major USPs of power traders, you'll see in the next slide. So continuing from the previous slide, why we need a power trading company in India is basically because of these reasons. First and foremost, these power trading companies enable the interstate and intrastate trade transactions between discoms to discom, exchange to discom, sale of power from generators in exchange, purchase of power by industries from exchange. These kind of all transactions are enabled by these power trading companies. They are more in focus because many a times taking the annual membership of exchange is a very costly affair. So it's not possible for small industries and even small distribution companies to take annual membership of exchange and do the transaction directly with exchange. So in that sense, they need an intermediary who help them participate in the exchange products without paying a hefty annual membership fees. So in this case, power trading companies comes into picture. Apart from that, these power trading companies also enable the short-term bilateral contracts, medium-term bilateral contracts, which adds more liquidity in the market. Uh, the third more important point is creating awareness and intelligence in the power sector community. Now, this is something which is very important because many a times you will see that there are distribution companies who are headed by IAS officers who comes as power secretary from different background, and for a short period of time they becomes the power they in charge of the power purchase and sale for the entire state. So for those managing directors or the CEOs who are managing the distribution companies, getting intelligence and awareness from the real-time power market becomes very important. And for them, these power trading company helps them in optimizing their power purchase cost, and to provide them the intelligence what is going in the market, where you can purchase the cheapest power, how you can schedule the cheapest power, how your energy mix can be more optimized. So these kind of inputs these power secretaries and the managing directors of the distribution companies gets from the power trading companies. Apart from that, there are many industrial consumers also. Suppose there is a cement plant or a big steel plant whose major core work is to produce cement or produce steel, but power is a very important raw material cost for them. Even for those industries, understanding what is the best power solution for them becomes important, and in that sense also these power trading company helps them, enable them to get the best power energy mix needed for their power plant, for their plant. So you can see that power trading role is immense for bridging the knowledge gap, intelligence gap, adding liquidity in the market, enabling transactions. Now moving to the fourth point, which is very important, is payment security in today's power market. As we have seen a lot of news that the health of the distribution companies are not good. They are not paying, they're defaulting in some of the states and not paying the generators for months. So in that sense also, these power trading companies can help the generators by signing back-to-back contracts and securing the payment on behalf of these discoms to the generators. So many a time generating companies are also comfortable dealing with power trading companies rather than directly dealing with the distribution companies. Now, the fifth point is enabling smart contracts. For example, in Indian power market, the virtual PPAs, contract for difference, derivative market, these are all going to come and have, these transactions are going to be real in the next 1.5 years very soon. So in that sense, in this transactions also power trading companies are going to play a very major role by enabling the users and generators, by bridging the gap between the users and the generators. And the final point is the cross-border power trade actually became a possibility in India only because of the power trading companies. Wheeling power from the hydropower plants of Nepal was first done by power trading company PTC in India. After that, Tata Power Trading did the Bhutan Dagachu power transaction in India, and now there are a lot of transaction happening between the neighboring countries with India using the exchange. So this is covered under the cross-border power market regulations, but the enablers of these regulations are all because of the power trading companies. So if you see this slide, which actually depicts the market share of power trading in India, I've taken this data from CERC monthly monitoring report, and the data are all sourced from National Load Dispatch Center. If you see in the month of February, which is the very latest data, almost in the month 1 lakh million units were generated in complete India, and in that the short-term market was around 15,000 million units. So almost like 14 to 15% of the whole Indian power generation comes from the short-term market. Now, if we split this short-term market into three parts, basically bilateral, which is one buyer, one seller kind of setup. The second is through power exchange, and the third is through the deviation settlement mechanism, which is also called the UI mechanism. So the bilateral market constitutes in this 1 lakh million units around 6,500 million units, and out of that almost 4,800 million units were transacted through the power trading companies or using the power exchange platform. That's a bilateral transactions, one-to-one PPAs. And almost direct PPAs under the short-term market was around 1,700 million units. So if you see the power exchange, almost 7,300 million units were transaction in the month of February, and most of that was done through IEX, and majority of that was day-ahead market, followed by the real-time market, and then the green day-ahead market. So DSM, which is the unscheduled deviation settlement, is still around 1,800 million units in the complete pie of around 1 lakh million units, which is very small. Similar, this data has been translated into the pie chart. You can see that still in India around 85% of transaction is happening through the long-term PPAs. Almost 14-15% is happening through the short-term market, and among that short-term market, bilateral is around 6.27%. Exchange is slowly growing; it's around 7%. DSM is around 1.77%. Now, that the same slide has been again showcased in more details here. If you split the market share of short-term market, around 46% comes from power exchange, around 12% comes from the DSM, and around 42% comes from the bilateral market. Now, the major question which has been asked many a times is how to become a power trader in India. Now, the regulation has been defined under the CRC Market Regulation 2020, where they defined that basically there are 5 categories of power traders in India: category 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, these categories are basically defined to showcase that how much amount of electricity can be transacted in a financial year. So if you are applying for a category 1 license, basically you can trade more than 7,000 million units of power in a year. But for that, your minimum net worth needs to be 50 crores in a financial year. Similarly, if you want to go for a category 2 license, your net worth has to be around 35 crore, and you can not trade more than 7,000 million units in a year. Similarly, category 3, your net worth has to be 20 crore. You cannot trade more than 4,000 million units in a financial year. Category 4 is 10 crore net worth, not more than 2,000 million units you can trade. And the final is the cheapest one, called category 5. Your minimum net worth would needed is 2 crores and you cannot trade more than 500 million units in a year. Now, for category 1, if it happens to trade more than 7,000 million units, which exceeds more than 10,000 million units, your minimum net worth increase from 50 crores to 75 crores in that case. Now, these trades, what does these trades include? These trades includes interstate transaction, intra-state transaction within a state, cross-border trade in long-term, medium-term and short-term transaction, and also the transactions which you can enable through the power exchange. So all power trading companies needs to furnish on a monthly basis a form which is called Form 4, which is submitted to CERC, and they also need to publish this form in their websites, where you can go and see how much these power trading companies have traded in that month. And at the end of the financial year, they need to add all these million units, and they need to see if they have taken category 1, whether they have exceeded 7,000 million units or not. If they have exceeded 10,000 million units, then they need to financially submit their data that their net worth is minimum 75 crores. One more important thing is that your net worth needs to have a current ratio of 1:1. Basically, current ratio is the ratio of current assets versus current liabilities. So your liquidity has to be at 1:1. Why this is important? Because as a power trader, you need to have a lot of obligations on payments. So your liquidity is very important to showcase to the regulator that you are your company is capable enough to furnish all the short-term obligations as well as long-term obligations which comes from trading of power. What are the list of documents needed for if you want to take a license? Basically, you need to have a covering letter, application form, your clause of electricity trading from MOA, certificate of incorporation, net worth certificate, details of shareholding pattern, approach and methodology, resumes of executives, affidavit for not undertaking transmission license, demand draft, board resolution, list of enclosures, and all these things. So all these things are available in CERC website. You can go and visit. If you intend to take license of power trading, you can apply with these documents to CERC, and CERC will verify your credential and may offer you a trading licensee. Now, what are the trading margin involved in in power market? So trading margin has been capped at certain level by CERC for a long time now. So if you intend to go for a short-term contracts or the contracts through power exchange up to 1 year, your trading margin cannot be more than 7 paisa. It can be minimum 0 paisa. For long-term contracts, there is no cap on trading margin. Basically, you can have anything which is being decided between seller and a buyer. For banking of electricity transaction, where generally banking happens between two states, one state can purchase power in lean period, and they can repay that power when they have surplus power. So in those transactions, your trading margin cannot be less than 0. It's between 0 and 7 paisa. For cross-border trade, again, the trading margin is mutually decided between the trading licensee and the seller. It can be anything. And for back-to-back contracts, basically where the buyer PPA and seller PPA are exactly same, your trading margin cannot be more than 2 paisa. Now, what are the list of power trading companies in India? I visited this today morning. I went through this report, and it was very surprising that 3-4 years back there used to be around 45-50 power trading companies. Now it's being limited to only 23, and you can see the top 5 trading companies has more than 80% of the market share. So what are the top 5 trading companies, which is like PTC India? Basically, most of their transactions are long-term contracts. Adani Enterprise, GMR Energy Trading, Tata Power Trading, Manikaran Power, NVVN, NTPC, which is the wing of NTPC, which is into power trading, APPCL, Create Energy, NETS, JSW Power Trading. So these are the top 10 power traders in India, and there are many other power trading companies. Even there are many big generators who have taken the license of power trading. They do it in-house. such as Shree Cement, you have Stratcraft Markets, you have Reflex Energy. So there are many companies which has also taken the license themselves. They do the in-house power trading of their own power, and also enables some of the suppliers to do power trade through them. So guys, this was all about power trading in India. I hope you like this presentation. If you are still there watching this presentation till the end of the 20th minute, I would request you to like this presentation and share it with your friends. Do comment if you have any doubt in the comment box, or if you are planning to do any real-time power market certification, you can always go through the links of my courses on Udemy and other platforms in the description box. You can do these courses. There are more than 3,500 students now as we speak who have done this certification and are doing having a great career in power sector. And those who are new, do subscribe this channel, hit the bell notification. You won't miss any presentation coming from my side. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.